Let's now go to unionism. And we heard Emma Pengelly and we heard Edwin Poots, all wanting to protect this great and wonderful democracy in Northern Ireland. Let me explain something. Emma Pengelly, the second First Minister who sits along with Michelle O'Neill, in their democracy that they want to protect, this lady isn't even elected. This lady was never elected into office. This lady was co-opted into place, and here she is as the First Minister in the Northern Ireland Executive. Democracy, according to the great and the good in Stormont. And that's the type of democracy that these people want to protect. Now, this evening, I wanted to talk about what happened in Northern Ireland last evening and also the fallout in the mainstream media today. Last evening, a group of people decided that they would go and protest outside the current Justice Minister for Northern Ireland's house and her husband's house. And the Justice Minister is a lady called Naomi Long, and her husband is a man called Michael Long. Now, Michael is a Belfast City Councillor. Now, on the media today, people were coming out and they were really condemning the protesters. And for the rights or the wrongs of the protests, that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to get into that. What I'm here to get into is what was being said on the media today, on the BBC specifically. There was a lot of politicians that came out in condemnation because of this protest outside the Justice Minister's house. And, you know, one of the buzzwords that was being used is that it is an attack on our democracy. It is an attack on us all. You know, in a democratic society, this should never be happening. You know, there's ways of protesting against people. Now, let's just talk about the democracy in Northern Ireland, and then we'll come back and we'll talk some more about the actual protest. So, just off the top of my head, no script, this is me just going by my experience in Northern Ireland. And the real question is this: are we living in a democracy in Northern Ireland? Do we have a democracy in Northern Ireland? So let's just talk about a couple of things. And I'm going to explain why that the people that were saying that is an attack on our democracy, well, they would say that whenever it suits them. But these are the people that are destroying democracy, that have destroyed democracy, and that consistently do things in a completely undemocratic way. So there was a UK-wide vote in around the United Kingdom for, do you want to leave the EU? Do you want to remain in the EU? It was a UK-wide vote, and well, 17.4 plus million people voted in that referendum. And the very same Justice Minister, the very same people, some of them that were there saying that this is an attack on democracy, well, they were saying that, well, they didn't vote for Brexit in Northern Ireland. Well, if we're going to take that attitude, well, my neighbour didn't vote for Brexit, I did. Should I leave and should my neighbour stay? You see what I'm saying? Whenever they use this word democracy, well, the result of Brexit was that the same Justice Minister, the same democracy upholding Naomi Long, well, what she did was that she done everything from within her power to stop Brexit, to frustrate Brexit. Now, let's look at another decision. Well, when I talk about Michael Long, who was living in the house where people were protesting outside last evening. Now, in Belfast City Council, what they did is that they put together a process in where that if people wanted an Irish language sign in a street, well, well, this is their form of democracy, that 15% of people could overrule 85% of other people. Let's say 85% didn't want an Irish sign and 15% did. Well, their form of democracy is to railroad in to shove down people's throats Irish language in places where it doesn't belong. Last week, the week before, in Belfast City Council, they have taken a decision in where that they're wanting to put this Irish language into streets where Protestants, Unionists, and Loyalists live against their will. No democratic decision there either, is there? There was a man up in Ballymoney called Mervyn Story, and well, he lost out to an Alliance Party member in a democratic election. Now, I can remember the same Justice Minister using these words. And is this ever acceptable for a Justice Minister to use these words? This area has had stale, male, and pale representation for years. And now she was saying that a woman in her party had won this election. Now just think for a moment about those choice of words from a so-called Justice Minister. When she called Mervyn Story stale, when she called him male, when she called him pale, okay, so stale is equals ageism. So she's guilty of ageism there. He's stale, he's male. That's sexism. That's what that's known as. And then he's pale, referring to his colour. Well, that's racism. So ageism, sexism, racism, all in the same sentence. And this Justice Minister talks about democracy. This Justice Minister talks about that we really need to protect democracy. Like, what about people's right from within a democracy not to be called in an ageist way, a sexist way, and a racist way? Here's another thing about democracy from within Stormont. You know, the type of democracy that these politicians are all coming out all of a sudden wanting to protect. In a democracy, should you have murderers in your government? In a democracy, should you have people in your government who are unrepentant terrorists? In a democracy, should you have that? I'm just listing several things as to why that they're a joke whenever that they claim that they want to protect democracy. Nor this is Northern Ireland. People have murdered people in the past for really for disagreements in the past to do with politics. And this same Justice Minister, they're forever pushing into place hierarchy of rights for people. In terms of the law, let's look at it in this way. The law, justice should be blind. There's number one. But that's not the case. If you go to court today, there's a hierarchy of rights for certain incidents. Now, the law enforcement, everybody should be subject to and equal under the same law. The same Justice Minister doesn't actually believe in that. This same Justice Minister actually thinks that people should have a hierarchy of rights and there should be some form of, oppression Olympics in where that if you're a minority and if you're at the top of that list and if anybody says boo to you, the law will come down heavy on them, as will the justice system. So now there's the type of democracy to which that these people are actually trying to protect. Now, in closing, it should never ever come to the circumstances in where that anyone who is so frustrated with the way that people are labeling people, with the way that people are not taking their concerns on board, with when people contacts the likes of Naomi Long, she won't come forth to talk to them. So what are people meant to do whenever that they're so frustrated, whenever that there's all types of misinformation being put out against them, whenever that the policing and justice system has been corrupted against them? I go and I talk to people with genuine concerns with reference mass uncontrolled immigration. I go and talk to them. You only have to listen to the concerns. And just a few weeks ago, I seen the fear in one lady's eyes in Ballymena when she said that, if it gets any worse, if what happens in England comes and happens here, she's going to get up and she's going to take her children out of this country. I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you're standing there and there's a fear in your eyes,
There is.
Yeah, yeah.
I have
I'm only saying, yeah.
I don't want this.
Yeah.
I don't want this. And sometimes the thoughts that go into your head when you do look into stuff and you do research stuff, and to be quite honest, if the shit that happened in England started to happen here, I don't want my girls a part of it, and I would take me and my girls off.
Now that's what genuine concerns look like. And as for Naomi Long, as for the likes of Michael Long, as for the likes of Sinn Féin, as for the mainstream media, in this so-called democracy, well, we have those people labelling people with genuine concerns as far right and as racist without having first went along and to understand those people's concerns and to do something about those people's concerns. No, no, no. That doesn't happen from Naomi Long. So, whilst that I'm saying that it should never get to the stage where anybody is protesting outside a politician's house, well, I fully understand when people's views are not being taken into consideration in this so-called democracy, when people raise genuine concerns and they're being accused of all manner of bad name, when this happens, well, are we surprised that people are so frustrated that this is the type of thing that they go and that they do? So as for democracy in Northern Ireland, give me a break. Give me a break.
Can't kill the truth with a hollow drone. Hands or eyes clenched in fists. History's patterns, they won't be missed.